Hello, everyone. And you are probably wondering what the new theme is. So, welcome to NextDev. And in a very exclusive episode with the founders of Zero Email, you can see our new UI, but we've got the founders of Zero Email here, Nizzy and Adam. How you guys doing today?
Hello,
Hello.
all good, you?
Doing good. So, we are going to do an exclusive NextDev episode. If you don't know who I am or my co host is, my name is Ryan Vogel, and this is my co host.
Dan Goosewin.
And we are going to go through and explore how they got started in their open source company right now, but now they're in YC, which is even cooler. So we're gonna do a deep dive into their journey with that from zero to, I guess, technically zero, but zero to hero and zero to YC. We got so many different title cards. We're gonna have to find one to use, but yeah. So let's jump right into it. So Nizzy and Adam, give us your little 90-second next dev of how you got started into coding. And yeah, so we'll just start off with that to give some background.
Yeah, sounds good. First, thanks for having us, and I'll run my few seconds of intro here. Started coding when I was like maybe 12, 14, and actually doing it professionally around 18. So it's been a bit over the 10 years, and the way I got into Zero is just by going to X and found a tweet by this guy, and then I looked at the name, I recognized him, and then we were like, hold on, let me see if I can work on this. I knew Nizzy through family friends, introduced by my cousin, through his cousins, and we just knew of each other. We never really have met before that. So I reached out and I was like, I can work on this with you. And we started shipping and improving Zero, and we realized that we have a great opportunity to build something very cool here. And here we are, yeah, a few months later. I'll let also Nizzy run his version of this.
Mine's a bit more interesting. So I started coding in 2022 after I graduated. I had no past coding experience, but I just was always interested in tech. So I just started learning to code, started doing random things like content, and I've been coding for 3 years now. I had a few good projects that did pretty well, but nothing as good as Zero. I just started Zero for fun. I like building things. So we started that project. Adam was on board like a few days into the project. And yeah, here we are.
All right.
Awesome.
This is super interesting. Why don't you give us a quick elevator pitch for Zero Email? What the hell is this project?
Yeah, what's your elevator
Yeah, so
pitch?
Zero's an AI native email client that manages your inbox, so you don't have to. That's like the general rundown of what we've been telling people. So it's just an AI native email client.
Makes a lot of
That
sense.
makes sense. Yeah. So let's go back to the beginnings of Zero. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the beginnings of Zero began with Nizzy's. I think it was a screenshot of like a Shad CN sort of like email interface where it was just like, what if you could have an open source? What if you could have a Microsoft, Google, and Office email address? Because two of those are not the same.
Yeah.
Yep. I was doing my basic Twitter things. I was on Twitter for 2 years at the time, and I had a very very little like small following, like not much at all. I had previous projects where I was doing like I had this Mentor AI app where you can like talk to like an AI version of like Elon Musk or Beyonce. Just the craziest apps. But I was like, oh, this will be cool to build. So I did the things I was used to, and I took a screenshot, and it was just an idea I had, and I posted it online. And I go to bed, and I wake up the next day, and it blew up. I don't know if you have the metrics next to you, but I think it was like 100,000 impressions. Like I
Let me
never had
pull
that
it up.
before. It was insane. It was like the most I've ever gotten, and I was like, hold on, like this is cool. Let me keep going. And so I started working on it a bit more and more, and again we're here. But it started off with that one tweet, which is crazy.
Yeah, Twitter has this thing where it just amplify posts out of nowhere sometimes, and the next morning you're like, "What the hell? I'm like, I'm big now. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I looked up the tweet and it got 98,000 views within basically like 3 days, which is for somebody whose account was not like a big massive type thing, it's like, wow, that's really impressive that you were able to get that much reach so quickly.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about how you guys met each other. How'd you get to collab on this?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a short story. I knew of Nizzy in like we both lived in Canada. So I was in Vancouver. I had cousins close by to where he is, so they knew him, and they introduced us one time, and we just knew of each other. And the fact that I saw that post, and I'm like, I saw it the first day, and I'm like, this is interesting, but it's not really grabbing my attention so far yet. So I saw it the second day in a row, and I'm like, hold on, there might be something there. So I reached out to him and I started pushing code into the repo, and I realized that there's so much needed for this to be used by other people or become a big thing. At that point, it was just listing emails from Gmail in a very simple manner. So one of the first things that we did is just re-architect that part, and then it kept blowing up because people wanted to contribute. And at the same time, Nizzy was posting a lot on Twitter, where every couple of posts would blow up and we'd get more requests and more early access users, and it just kept getting so much bigger. And we're like, we got to sit down and talk about this because this is massive. A lot of people want a solution for this problem and nothing exists. Like
Right.
either you're going to have to pay up to upwards of $50 a month just to get the basic functionalities that you can build using ChatGPT, and people can wrap around this just by using V0 nowadays, which is great. But at that point, nothing existed, and people were just very interested in seeing this flourish.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, open source, I know that you obviously wanted contributions and stuff like that, but obviously with every open source type thing, there's always that worry of what if someone just forks my project? So why have you guys stuck to open source all this time? What are your roots in that?
I've always loved open source. It's a great community, and I've always had projects that were open source. So this just made sense for me to open source as well. And back to your like fear that someone could just fork your repo. I don't think that's a bad thing. If anything, it's a great thing. Um, Adam and I have talked about this endlessly, and we always say that the person to first do it, or the first person to go viral in a project, that's who people are going to remember regarding that subject. So we've seen multiple people clone our repos and try to do the same things we have. There's a guy, I'm not gonna name him, but there's a guy that has something very similar to us, and he has like 10 views on his posts, like some small amount. And I take it more as a form of flattery than a form of like fear that someone's trying to take our business. And that's the way to think about it. It's not to fear people cloning your project. It's to embrace that you have a great idea.
Yeah, that makes sense because I mean, there's been so many different vibe coded apps and everything like that and all the forks, but we only really notice the main notable forks of sort of things and stuff like that. So yeah, so you met and you started building and stuff like that. And then what came after that, sort of once you sort of locked into the project where you're like, okay, we need to start pushing some PRs, getting some contributions going, making sure those pipelines were all green. So what was next after that?
Yeah, so it was a bit of a change to structure the entire project as more of an actual system where PRs get open, someone reviews them, and like establishing ourselves as an actual serious project, not just something that was vibe coded. And if our project can be vibe coded in a weekend, we wouldn't have traction. We wouldn't have people interested in it, and that's where the differentiating factor is. We're solving an actual problem here. If we get forked and someone is doing it better than us, hats off to them, right? But we believe that we're doing the best we can at this point. And we get a lot of contributors or contributions that simply are not aligned with our vision or aligned with the quality that we should portray at this point in the point in the project. So we simply just either don't accept these contributions, or we have strong rules on how or on what code should be contributed. So it was a switching from being just simply an open source project with no systems, no procedures, no ways of handling things, into a more structured form of a team. So we established our team. We contacted the top contributors, and we like, you've been working great with us. We value you. We appreciate your work. Would you want to be in the team that is managing or sort of running Zero? And we got a close community of contributors where people are, they feel valued, they feel appreciated, and we honestly appreciate them, and we do our best to show that. And simply just working hard to be a company started up an open source project. So everything was architected properly, everything in terms of team roles, everything in terms of how features are being communicated. We established a feature base, we established multiple environments. So everything became an enterprise solution rather than just simply an open source project. So that was that was the major shift in terms of technicalities and the people.
Awesome. No, that's great. I'm really curious. What was your experience open sourcing the code base from day one? I mean, did you encounter any challenges, any problems along the way that you feel would be valuable for others to hear?
We had a few issues. I think the biggest one was turning the repo into a monorepo. That was one of probably the biggest decisions we had to make early on. Maybe Adam can talk more about that, as he's more technical here. But we had a lot of different parts of the app. Like initially, we wanted to just be like open source Gmail, but we realized more people wanted the AI parts of things, and we realized that it's going to have to be multiple parts of the app, and the only reasonable way to do that is through a monorepo. And we were a few weeks into the project, and we're like, do we spend time on this now? Like we're growing so fast. Do we have like people wouldn't notice the difference now, but people would notice it like down the line. And so the decision was, do we focus on this now and instead of working on other things, or worry about it later? And we made the decision to spend a few days on it at that time, and I think it was the right decision, because if we did it now, if we had to decouple the repo, it would have been impossible. So I'm really grateful we did that. So to anyone there that's watching this, monorepo your shit.
It makes sense. So Nizzy and Adam, you both sound like you have a very good idea in like backend monorepo, open sourcing type stuff. How did you learn about that? Did you just like go on YouTube and like, how do I open source my B2B SaaS app in under a day?
Yeah.
Like how did you kind of learn about that type of stuff?
Yeah, that would be the question. Honestly, it goes back to the open source community. If these tools were not open source, or if the community was not as sharing or supportive in sharing code and the ways of usage and learning and snippets, and if I wouldn't scroll on X and see someone posting a snippet of a new tool, for example, BetterAuth. Like if I didn't see a snippet of BetterAuth, I wouldn't know who they are, because it wouldn't reach the same sort of users. So a lot of it also goes back to open sourcing projects, where you are literally putting your hard work on display for the rest of the world to criticize or to say good job. So you just gotta do it, and you would be surprised at how supportive people are. So a lot of my personal knowledge came from building and using open source tools, but also a lot of research, a lot of trial and error. I've never built a project or anything without messing it up first, and you just got to make a lot of mistakes. You gotta build things. I meet with a lot of people that they want to get into coding, engineering, but they're scared of messing up, and that's just the journey. You gotta create things that don't work to figure out what works. So for me personally, it was a lot of building things that didn't work and making them work and seeing what differentiated tools that work or don't work, and you just gotta stay in. You gotta stay in the loop. A lot of people have been reaching out to us on how to contribute to Zero, or how to be active in the scene, or how to get an internship or whatever. You just got to be around. You just got to, especially for with an open source company, you can't just cold email them. Just make a PR, surprise us, solve a problem that we never knew existed. And if you take things the easy way and just email and wait to get a reply and yes, please work on something, you're not going to make it that far. You got to do things, you got to do something. That's as simple as that, and as harsh as that. You got to do it.
And
I think-
just to say, Adam, like why I wanted Adam so badly. I knew Adam, but the thing that got me to want him to be my co-founder is that he just started contributing like crazy to the repository, and he helped out so much, like insane amount. So to anyone that's like really interested in just like wanting to be parts of open source projects or open source startups, like just contribute and do cool shit. That's like, you just have to be different. That's a differentiating factor for most people.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And Dak said in chat, it's a great quote: fail fast, learn to love to lose. Because if you seek failure and you seek, okay, how am I going to fail at this next thing, then you're going to succeed more. And it's like that. I saw it a while ago. I can't remember where it is now, but there was the one clip of the guy, and his entire resume was just his failures. Here's every single failure that I've ever done, and what came with it, what I learned from it. And I think that's an extremely powerful thing to kind of learn from, because if you love to fail and you learn to fail, then you love to learn, and it goes hand in hand. So yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense.
Failure is the best teacher. And I keep repeating this episode after episode, but I really took a liking to this quote. If you knew you had 100 failures to become successful, how fast would you want to fail?
Yeah, that's a great quote.
Yeah. Anyhow, you guys are in public beta. You guys are moving incredibly fast. Like, this is amazing, honestly. I just saw the other day somebody complained on Twitter in comments, like, something doesn't work. And you guys like responded within 3 minutes and then got it fixed within 30 minutes. And like, wow, this is just amazing. How do you guys manage to move so quickly and stay on Twitter and code at the same time? Like, what's your secret?
Vibe coding.
Vibe coding is not the secret. Honestly, vibe coding is probably what slows us down. Vibe coding without system architecture in place and not knowing where things should go and where things are is really what will slow us down. So I would say for that is great team of engineers, great systems in place. Like Dak, shout out, great engineer. Honestly, knowing where everything goes, that is how you ship fast. Like one of the things that I've done, one of the first things that I've done into the repo is establish the system to add or to communicate with Gmail. Like when we first started, since day one, we want to do Gmail first. So one of the first things that I pushed is how to communicate with Gmail efficiently. It's just one file, and that one file is still existing until this day as a cornerstone of the entire system. And without that file, without the interface, basically, to communicate with Gmail that is agnostic enough to communicate with other files or with other services, we wouldn't be shipping as fast. System architecture goes hand in hand with coding, with shipping, with vibe coding, with whatever you want to call it. But if you don't have a system architected in place, where if you don't have placements for the Lego pieces, you won't establish a very, let's say, tall Lego tower or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So establishing fundamentals. Shipping fast is great, but won't get you far without hitting a wall and be like, now how do I scale this? I can ship a feature today that will mind blow 10 people, but can it scale to 100,000? I, as a CTO, cannot ship this with a good faith, because I know that once we get to 10,000 people, this is going to break, and that will throw us down back to the drawing boards, and now we have to build it better, and might as well build it better from day one. So a lot of architecture, I would say. These issues that when we sort of see them on Twitter, we get on them as soon as possible. We have team members in different parts of the world, and we have someone online at any time of the day, which makes us very lucky. No.
You've got a chronically online cracked dev 24/7 online.
His name's Needle.
What's
Needle.
your like MTTR, your mean time to response for like an average thing? Do you have like a rough number? Because like what Goose said, it's like 3 minutes for a response.
I'm chronically online, so most of the things like during normal hours, like 8 a.m. to like 2 a.m., I'm probably gonna see it. But there's like a time period between like 2 a.m. PST till 8 a.m. where we're just not gonna be online. So we either have like a contributor or someone on the team just like answer it for us, and that's a big advantage for us. And another thing on vibe coding, okay, people think I just vibe code and ship. No, this goes into what we're trying to say here. I vibe code a lot, but Adam and anyone reviewing the code will be very strict on me. Just because I'm in the company and I run the company, doesn't mean I can just ship bad code. Okay, it means I get it reviewed and they review my code like really critically. Like it's rough, but the whole point of that is to make sure that okay, we're shipping as fast as possible, but we're making sure we're shipping good code so we don't have to review it again and go back to the problem over and over again. Like we might as well spend a bit more time now than keep working on the same problem over and over again for months.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And don't you have a Code Rabbit in your repo as well for
Yes.
those additional reviews? How
do.
has that been as a like a third eye in looking into all that stuff?
Yeah, it's been great. The Code Rabbit team is great, and the software itself is pretty good. It catches things that we don't notice or we don't really care to think about. And there's been a few times where it's like caught things for us. So I highly recommend it.
Awesome.
That's
And
awesome.
are you guys getting it for free? Because I know it has like a super nice deal for open source projects.
Yes, so it's completely free. Like
Oh,
we
that's
never
awesome.
we never even had to put in like a credit card or anything like that.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
that's awesome. Open
Mhm.
source for the win, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe open source is making the world a better place. Like, how else would a project like this come to exist, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Anywho, I'm really, really curious to hear your opinion on the product strategy. You guys are competing with some tough dogs in the market. You're competing with Gmail and probably Superhuman even. What's your approach to figuring out the roadmap, prioritizing features, and who are you targeting as your primary audience right now?
Yeah, our main focus is presenting value to our users in terms of being more efficient, giving them more clarity on what's inside their inbox, and saving them time in the long run. Our main focus is giving them value. And that value comes with saving time, getting the proper answers to their questions, and just sort of getting more by doing less. We really focus on that aspect. Our users are anybody that cares about basically saving time. Any knowledge worker that wants to be efficient. Anybody that wants to use the latest AI technology saves them time. But maybe Nizzy can add some more to that.
No, yeah, our focus has been on knowledge workers, and we know that our AI is gonna do that for them. That's why we're just honing in on AI features like auto labeling and being able to chat with your inbox.
Makes sense. Yeah. So obviously you've hit the AI keyword, so you're in YC. No, I'm kidding. So how
It's
did
true.
this so you're in YC, which is
Yep.
amazing from an open source project. So how'd you get into open source? How did open source get you into YC? What did that journey look like?
Yeah, so we applied, and I had a friend beg me to get into YC, like a place to apply, and so he gave me the confidence to do it. But at the time, Adam was already on the team, and I had to beg him to make a video. Like we were working on the project for like a week or 2 weeks, and I was like, Adam, like we were late to the party, like we were past the deadline, and I was like, let's just do it. Like there's no harm in doing it. We'll get some good feedback so that we can apply in the I guess the summer batch. So we do the video, and we didn't hear back for a few weeks, and then one of the YC partners actually saw a Twitter post of ours. Surprise, surprise. And so he's like, "Do you guys want an interview at YC?" And I called Adam, and we were like jumping like little kids. We're like, "Holy shit, holy shit!" So we do the interview, and the interview is like pretty scary. You got like two people. Yeah, it's like two partners, sometimes three, and they just ask you questions, and it's like everyone's serious, and they're like, "What's this project? who is this to? How are you guys gonna make money? Just like super serious questions, and they don't give you like any reaction. So you're just like, you don't know what's going on. So we finished the interview and we thought we did we did terrible. And we're like, okay, whatever. We're just gonna keep shipping, and then hopefully we get into the next batch. So a day goes by, and they give us an email saying like, yeah, we were interested, and we want you guys in YC. So we that's how we got in. Like, it was just a super weird like sequence of events that got us there. But yeah, it was through a tweet, which is quite
That just shows that Twitter
Yes.
is a viable marketing
Yes.
tool.
yes.
Like you can just post like a video and it will get billions of views.
We applied.
Trillions.
So we applied to YC, but the partner was, I guess, doing some research on us, and he's like, "Oh, this looks cool," or he saw the tweet and then checked if we applied. So you had to apply to get in, obviously, but Twitter was one of the things, and it was a big part of it.
Yeah, that's why. And to anyone watching, if you are going to apply to YC, don't just apply and be like, "All right, that's all I got to do today." Apply and then just post and post and post
Yes.
and post, because it's not going to hurt if
Mhm.
if that one of the partners is, doom scrolling. Oh yeah, what do we got? Yada 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 yada. Oh wait, that's the person who just applied. Let me hit them up like that. You have a much higher likelihood of being able to get accepted to anything, not even just YC, to any other program. If you're trying to get investors, if you're trying to
Mhm.
get access by company, if someone can look up your public, basically like ship record, it's incredibly, incredibly persuasive for them to be able to reach out to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if your product is gonna make money, it will make money if it's open source or closed source or whatever. Nowadays, it's not really a metric that you shouldn't open source your product to make money. So they don't go hand in hand nowadays. So I would definitely recommend whoever, as you said, has an open source product or is working on something that they would want to apply to IC with, they should. They keep on advertising new programs, and they're honestly a life-changing experience. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I like keep telling people to be impossible to ignore. There's a fine line, right? Being impossible to ignore and not being annoying, right? X is this really nice way of being impossible to ignore. You establish presence, you grow your reach, you just post. You just
Be
want to
annoying.
post.
No, I disagree, Dan.
Oh, you
Be
do?
annoying. Like, yeah, I want people to just see me all the time, and I've had like so many people just unfollow me because of the amount of content I post, and I'm like happy because I know I'm doing enough.
Well, you're
And
filtering out who actually is going to be investing in you, like as a relationship. Like you don't want the
Yeah.
person who's barely hanging on by a thread, and you're just like making sure not to do anything to upset them. You don't want to do that. You want to create
Yeah.
a core, purpose-built audience.
Yeah, and half the time, like half my posts are shit posts, but like, there's some times where I just have an idea or I build like a cool thing. I just talk about it. Just like Adam always tells me, you think Twitter, and I love that saying. Like everything I think about, it's on there. So sometimes it's gonna be something weird, but a lot of the times it's gonna be an idea I have, and I'm like, oh, this is validated now because a lot of people are interested in it.
Yeah, if you think about it as a tool for iterating on your product strategy, it's OP. You get immediate feedback from your target audience, from the market. Any second you come up with a thought, you post it, you get a response. It's
Yep.
just magical. Magical. I would be really curious to hear more about your experience with Y Combinator so far. So you guys are in the latest Y Combinator batch. Congratulations on that. What is the number one piece of advice you guys got from the partners, and what was your experience like?
Clarity on what we're building and who we're selling to. So the whole point of YC is obviously to prepare you for raising another round, so like a Series A or a Series seed round. But the main thing, we have like weekly meetings with our partners, and the main thing they're asking us is like, who are you? What is this product? Like, who are you selling this to? What do you want it to be? And they advise you to like talk to users, do launches, email people, like just do everything to just have some clarity on what you want to build and just build something that people want. And that's the entire value of YC. And you'll notice if anyone goes through YC, is like that entire period is consistent with almost every business cycle. Like you're gonna go through launches with your own businesses. So what we just did with our YC launch, if anyone saw it, is like we made a video and we announced something, right? And how that works in business is like every month or every 2 weeks or every 3 months, you're gonna do a launch video or something to do with like, you know, new product. And YC kind of condenses that for you into like a 2 month span now. And that lesson, everything we're learning now is going to be with us for like basically the rest of our lives. Even if zero doesn't work, the next business is gonna be even better. And it's all thanks to YC.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's an accelerator. That's
Yeah,
literally what
yeah.
it is. So no, that's super cool. So you're in YC now. You're rapidly iterating. You guys are pushing a ton of features every day. How many how are you able to do all that? Is that sort of like just like a distributed where a lot of people are implementing PRs and stuff like that, and you're just reviewing them onto the main branch, or are these your initiated ideas where you're like, okay, I want somebody to come and do this. I want somebody to come and do this. How is that sort of, I guess, sort of like the open source delegation? Is there like a board where you're like, hey, we want somebody to do this? How does that work?
Yeah, so we have a couple of ways of doing this. So if a feature is aligned with our long-term vision for Zero, we make it a priority to either make it ourselves or have one of our close team members do it. If we're all swamped, we are never hesitant to reach out to the community and ask them to make it, because at the end of the day, a lot of people want this to succeed, and if they have the capacity to ship a feature to help the project and sort of have more contributions to the project and grow with us, and prove themselves to be engineers, part of our team, they would definitely be contributing. A lot of it is either things that have been architected before and we're just adding sort of the display of them and enabling the features because we already have the fundamentals for them, or completely new features where we reach out to a person or reach out to sort of our contributors, or we add it to our feature base and we simply someone picks it up and does it. A lot of the features are done internally by the team, but we welcome PRs. We have like so many of them open now for new features. One of the new things that we tried, we did a bounty to basically have the entire Zero interface customizable using colors and fonts and radiuses and other things. It was great. We had a lot of PRs for that, and it was all the open source. It was all the open source community. The idea here is that when we got into IC, and until today, Zero keeps being polished up. Like the idea of Zero keeps growing, keeps getting more refined, and the features go hand in hand with the idea of what the product is. So we're growing in terms of knowing what the product should have and what features people care about the most. And so many of them just come from people frustrated in the existing mail interface that they're using, and they just come to Zero and be like, hey guys, can you make this for us? And we just make it in a day and ship it, and now they're with us forever. Because companies in this space, they grow and abandon their user bases, and we're never going to do that. We take that as a very serious thing. Our users have direct communication lines to us. Feature base is free and easy to use. We have 60 tickets made just on our launch day of things we can improve and things we can do. So we're never going to run out of ideas. We just have to make priorities on what comes first and how we're going to ship that fast. YC helps us polish this idea so we can know what to ship, and helps us refine who our ideal users are. And at the end of the day, it's a great learning experience. Like we learn things that we never knew existed, and as you said, it's an accelerator, but like for ideas and for people and for personal growth, for a lot of things. At the end, in short, one of the main things that we were asked on when we first joined is to ship, or to release. Basically, if you don't have a release product, you don't know what people want, and you want something people want. So the only way Zero was able to grow to this user base and to get this amount of feedback is by launching. We launched early. Even when we launched a closed beta, even when we opened the beta, they were all launches where we get a lot of feedback from users. And all of these users care about email, they care about products, and they care about the quality of life that comes with having such an easy interface. And so many of them will be paid users. They could stay free. We, at the end of the day, it's not really about the money at this point. It's about building something people want, and that's what we're
Right.
doing.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And isn't it true that in your closed beta you had over 15,000 signups for people wanting to get access to zero? Is that right? 15,000 or was it 20,000?
Yeah, it was 16,000. It's actually
16.
technically more because we had an issue with our database earlier on. So it's more like 21,000.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is amazing. And let me tell you, you've cultivated an amazing user base. Like it's very easy to do this wrong. You have very specific niche. You have very vocal fan base who gets to help you test the product continuously. I think this is awesome what you guys are doing with the community. And I think whatever you're doing for maintaining the roadmap and etc., you're doing it right. Speaking of the roadmap, how do you run the roadmap? Is everything that you're planning to implement public? Is anybody able to see the upcoming features and whatnot?
Yeah, we're using feature based, so anything you see on there is like what we're currently working on. I can't recommend feature based enough. It's a great tool for anyone that's like building a project. I know Ryan uses it. I don't know if you use it, Guswin, but it's great to first you get feedback from your users, but then also show them what you're currently working on. So yeah,
And you can rank it too. It's really nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got it. I can say with my work with Agenda, it's been really, really helpful because people actually read through it because it has like a nice UI. But yeah, continue.
Yeah. No, yeah, this was I was gonna say like people can also upvote things. So let's say Guswin has a feature request, Ryan can upvote it, and we know users actually are want this or are struggling with this. So then we know what to prioritize. It can get costly. I think we're paying like $50 a month for us, but like it's worth it. Like yeah,
That stream of information from your users is totally
it's
worth
invaluable. It's invaluable.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, I'm really, really curious to hear how you guys work together. So, you guys are in the Bay Area somewhere, and you guys live together?
Yes.
Yeah.
it. This is their address on screen right now.
no,
Go
no.
check them out.
Please don't.
We have
Yeah,
lots. People can knock. It's okay. We're in an
Okay,
apartment.
You guys do a whole lot of pair programming?
Yes, I'd say yeah. Like this is Adam's workspace, and
Okay.
I'm right here, so we're almost around each other all the time. And yeah, we do a lot of work together. Adam does most of the good coding, and I'm usually taking care of like smaller tickets and basically everything outside of the coding stuff. So I'm making videos, I'm writing emails, I'm talking to customers, I'm taking meetings. So that's where I see myself long term at the company. And I think the more I code bigger features, the worse the company will do. It's a conversation we had to have, and I was like, I'm still shipping stuff, but where my time is most valuable is outside of that. And Adam's time is best spent coding and managing the code base.
Yeah, that's cool. It's so I didn't want to ask this, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. What do you hate? Here, give the mic to Adam. Adam, what do you hate most about how Nizzy codes?
So there's a difference between coding and prompting. So it's funny because when I look behind me to see what he's doing, he's waiting for cursor. And then if he's done waiting for cursor, he types into cursor and waits again for cursor. And he's like, I did this. I'm like, sure. So it's an art, right? Like if he can prompt into cursor things into existence, I respect his prompting skills. Now, I would be hesitant to give cursor a problem that has never been solved before, right? And cursor is basically takes knowledge from existing problems that other people have solved and gives it to you in a in a form that's suitable for your code base. Now, solving problems is not the same as implementing features, right? So I don't necessarily hate anything about the way that Nizzy codes or works with our code base. It's just the fact that it has its limits in terms of, hey, we're going to ship this very big important feature. I would be hesitant to just prompt it into Cursor because it's not there yet, you know. So Nizzy even goes out of his way to handle these, like the small things that he does. He doesn't even have to do them. He does it for the company, he does it for us, he does it for the community, because he wants to provide very high quality features. And if I mess up something user interface wise, he has to go and fix it. And we sort of complement each other on that front. Like, he has an artistic design sense coupled with business, and I have a very high technical sense of how to do things. So if I ship something very technically advanced, but technically advanced for an email app, but then it doesn't look great, he has to go and make it look great, because he's done all of our interfaces for V1, and he migrated us to V2 of the design after Baked Design made it, which, shout out, great work. So we complement each other on that point. But on the first sort of couple of calls, we decided that one of us is going to be CTO and one of us is going to be CEO. And I don't want to be involved in CEO stuff. He doesn't want to be a CTO. So we sort of, isolated each other from that, but we still sort of fill in for each other, because that's the entire thing. There's never going to be 50-50. It's not going to be hard to be like, to lend a hand or to look at the big picture or where the company wants to be or where do you want the company to be. At the end of the day, we have the same goal. We have a much bigger goal in mind, and it's never going to stop on one feature or on one line of code that wasn't done properly, or one email that was sent out with the wrong address, which we did today. Sorry about that. But yeah, that's it in short.
All right, Nizzy, your turn. What
Well-
do you hate most about Adam's coding style and working with him? He did a really good job of like constructive criticism. So now you have big shoes to fill.
No, so Adam's a senior dev, so it's very well. It can be hard to be a vibe coder around him, because he will nitpick the smallest problem. So let's say I code something even without cursor, which is not much, but even when I do it, he's like, he nitpicks something maybe I worked on for a few hours, and he's like, you got to fix this, and I'm like, fuck. So I have to go back and fix it. But like as annoying as it is sometimes, you need that. Like you need someone to say no, like this isn't good enough. And it goes back to what we were talking about. Like it'll fix the problem now, but someone else is going to face this problem in a week. Do we really want to go back and fix that? So constantly focusing on that and focusing on the user experience down the line makes me accept, like, okay, like, yeah, I gotta fix it. So yeah, every time he does that, I'm like, I'm somewhat grateful. It's tough, but I'm grateful for it. I really am.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's cool. Look at that. You guys, look at that constructive criticism right there. That's a good, investors, if you're watching this, look at this
PR
look at
training.
this relationship dynamic right here.
We're all PR trained, yes.
I know, yeah. It's perfect.
Yeah, these guys are
So-
great co-founders.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Okay. So we covered the past, the present. Let's talk about the future.
Oof.
Where is Zero going?
We have a very, very long roadmap. The short version of this is that currently we're built on Gmail. We are integrating with Outlook as well, so people can use us with this with a Gmail or Outlook. And we're going to roll out one of the highly requested features is a unified inbox, so you can get all of these emails in the same feed. All of it powered by AI. So we're lucky enough that we're early, that we're building AI at the bottom of this architecture instead of on top, like other providers. So having AI at the center of all of this infrastructure gives us the ability to roll out features efficiently and accurately. So we rolled out auto labeling yesterday or 2 days ago, which auto labels all your incoming emails, gives it one label that best suits that that email, and is dynamic enough that whenever you get a new email of that, it keeps getting updated. So it's it's forever. And we are still working on improving our AI, making it really good. It has complete context of your inbox. So think of where we are now. We've been building this for 3 months. Give us a few years, we're going to be over the moon. We're shipping things that never happened before. We have partners that are looking to change the entire email industry in this case. But we're first taking baby steps in this case, Gmail, Outlook, and after that we are rolling out our own email infrastructure that gives us the freedom to roll out whatever features we want in emails. And this will change a lot of the ways that people interact with emails. And we see them all as ways that will add more value and save people time. Our commitment here is to never add anything that violates people privacy or reduce or increase time spent on emails. Like, we don't want you to spend more time on your screen. The entire idea is to spend less. And
Right.
if we ship anything that makes you spend more time on your screen, please let us know and yell at us, because we're never going to do that. We want people to feel private. We don't want to sell data. We have people saying that it's just a wrapper around OpenAI, and our entire reply is, you can self-host this. Like, plug it in with your local Olama instance, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
We want to give people the freedom, give them the power to use their email. Like, they rely on email for all of their lives, but they have no control over it. And people keep paying more and more for emails, or they see ads in their inbox, and it's outrageous. So our roadmap, I can go into detail, but we're gonna spend hours here. But in short, rolling out all the features that you would expect from a proper email that works, it should manage itself. We don't want it to be just a to-do list for other people to give to you. We want you to be in control. And at the end of the day, that's the entire purpose. Like, that's the entire goal. There's a lot of things that goes on the roadmap, but it's only for one particular direction, is giving more value, giving more to the users.
Yeah. You don't want to become a to-do app, because I mean, to-do apps literally suck.
Losers built to do apps.
Right? Shout out to our sponsor, agenda.dev. You can check them out at agenda.dev. It's the world's best to-do app, AI native. Anyways, what was that? I think I just got possessed by something else. The sponsor demon.
Jesus Christ, Ryan. Jesus Christ. All right.
Way to ruin the mood, dude.
I know, right? Dude, it was the sponsor. The sponsors just took over. It's like, I gotta show my product.
Itching.
So-
I want to keep pressing on the future a little
Yeah.
bit, because we got a bit of a easy answer. I want to hear more futuristic, more crazy vision. Like, what the hell is the email going to look like 5 years from now?
We hate email now. I hate using email, and we're forced to use email.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, everyone has to use email. Whenever Ryan sends me an invoice, it's on email. Or whenever we got a notification from some guy or an investor or YC, it's on an email. And it's such an important communication tool that's just been neglected. And if you look at email 20 years ago, okay, it looks better, but technically speaking, it's like the exact same. Exact same. And it pisses me off that we don't have a better inbox, and especially with the tools we have today, like AI, not just AI, but especially that, it just blows my mind that there hasn't been a company that correctly has done email, and we want to be that. Like, we really want to improve email. It's gonna be used for who knows how long, and we want to be the company that just bridges the gap between shitty email and good email.
See?
That makes sense. And no, yeah, because if you really look at email 20 years back, it's an app that has your categories, that has your emails. You click on an email and it opens. That hasn't changed at all. Like, not even in the okay, yes, the UI looks better and stuff like that. It's still categories with emails and the email content. It hasn't changed in 20, 30 years almost. And I think that's really cool. So I think I've known you've mentioned this, Nizzy, where you don't even open email to do it. You've kind of just been like, you talk to it or you chat with it, say, what do I got to do today? What are my agenda items? And
Yeah.
and it knows your email and stuff like that. So what's your ideal interface for something like that?
Yeah, we've been playing around with ideas here. Zero will have complete historical context of your inbox. That means you can ask it questions that happened 2 years ago, and it will know it, and it will know it into detail. And only you can access this information. You can self-host it in the same way, but at the entire point is to actually have a brain working for you in that mailbox, because it's a cornerstone of a lot of people's lives, right? And it knows everything about you. It knows what you got your wife 2 years ago for Valentine's Day. It knows what your appointments you have this week. So we start small by asking what appointments we have this week, and it will know everything. Now, the way to interact with it, the idea is that we have a belief that people need to check their emails less to get more of it. So where we want to be in the long term is simply we want people not to have to go through it to their inbox to search for things. Searching and going through this list of things just to get one piece of information or to get a meeting link, it should be replaced. And it should be replaced by simply just asking for it in the chat, or simply just using voice or using SMS. There's a lot of different aspects where email can be included and it's not included yet. Our goal is to have it in your SMS to send you only important notifications. Like, you don't have to go search through your inbox if you have a meeting at 3 and it's 2:55. Just SMS it, or you open the Zero mobile app and you talk to it, or simply interact with it with the frictionless environment, like going on your laptop or opening your email app and typing a search, and you either miss the search or it's something you can't even find the email and you're stressing out in the middle of the street. It's not something of the future, and we're going to be the first app that does that. We're going to bring modern technologies into people's mailboxes where they can just change the way that they interact with the email to save them time and to give them more value. And you don't have to remember your dentist's name, first and last name, to find the appointment. You just say dentist or find me my dentist appointment. Like, it should know these things. We're in an age that AI is smart enough to know these things if you use it properly. And we're giving all of that at the essence of privacy. So you can choose to enable this or not. Like, you can choose to interact with this. You can choose to host your own data. Like, we don't have to restrict any of these features. Like, one of the main things that we've done differently is that we don't store any of our users' emails. Like, current users, we have so many people using Zero, and our database is just a few megabytes big because we only store like emails, like the login information. So it's not that we store your entire email history, and it's frightening that you go into some apps where you have to sync your entire inbox to them. And it's just something out of this world, like they take all of your data, God knows where they host it. You don't even know if they're SOC 2 compliant. And at the end of the day, you just get an interface with a ChatGPT wrapper and you pay $50 for it. So this has to change. It was good for a while. It's, they had a good run, but it's not the future.
It's the time of innovation. Yeah,
Sense.
that makes sense. So
yeah, go ahead.
I'm very interested in this in the future. So your domain is zero dot email.
What an amazing domain, man.
Right? That's I remember when we did a NextDev with Nizzy, like, what was it, like a month or so ago, and he had just acquired
That was longer.
domain. It was longer? Yeah, we've been doing this for a while.
It was like early March.
Wow, that's crazy. Anyways, yeah, and you just got that, and that was like amazing. So
yeah, there's
been talks and requests of like a neon, or not a neon, sorry, been doing my onboarding today, a zero a zero managed provider. So it's like I could have Ryan at zero.email. Is that something that's on your roadmap or what?
Definitely. Yeah, so that's going to be on it is on our roadmap, and like Adam said, we have that planned so that we're able to do um, more things with AI. Gmail and Outlook are pretty limiting when it comes to these features, and we have to work within those parameters. And so, having our own email service, whether it's like at zero.email or just using like something like Google Workspace, but like our own version of it within Zero, that will be like the ideal scenario for us.
Do you
Wow.
think there's a future where, because emails right now, it's name at domain. Do you think
Yep.
there's a future where you would have like almost like an iMessage type thing where users in the Zero ecosystem, I could just type Nizzy and it would have a unique username and it would just be like username based email. And then if there was an external like outbound type thing, it would be like Nizzy at Zero email. Is that kind of, what do you think on that kind of thing?
Oh, absolutely. If this will be done anywhere, it will be on Zero. No one, like no infrastructure can be dynamic enough to support it except for ours. We're lucky enough that we're building this and we have great partners that we're working very closely with. And this will be definitely the future. So our own email infrastructure is definitely on the roadmap. It will happen soon where you can get Ryan at zero.email. If you want Ryan at zero.email, are you excited about it?
I am very
Cool.
excited about it.
Sounds good.
I've been
So yeah, we
texting
will.
Nizzy every morning.
We're definitely gonna have that. And as you said, like having usernames instead of emails, it will only be possible on our infrastructure. So many other people will have to roll out their own infrastructure, or basically use someone else's infrastructure will not support this. No infrastructure is dynamic enough to allow people to brainstorm ideas like this and code it into reality, except for ours, and all of it open source, which was never done in history.
Interesting. That's, you're literally writing the path. Like like you're literally forging the path where they're going to be like in 50 years. Yeah, so Nizzy and Adam, they remade email.
Yeah, I have to say, the moment I heard your pitch, guys, like fixing email, I was immediately bought. Like, I was all in. Like, email
Yeah.
needs to be fixed. I think
Oh,
you
yeah.
are absolutely right on your vision. Awesome. A few lightning round questions. Just want to ask some random things about your workflow. What's the most underrated engineering tools in your stack right now?
Cursor. Or windsurf.
Oh,
Most underrated.
yes.
The most underrated engineering tool. I would say I'd have to agree. Like Cursor or Windsurf, both of them great tools, and they save us a lot of time. CodeRabbit is great. It catches things that we never knew that exist in the code. Um, a lot of the tools that we use on our repo is just the best. Like we picked really the most useful tools, and they're just incredible.
I love Drizzle too. I fucking love Drizzle. Drizzle is the best fucking thing ever. I was using Prisma for the longest time, and I never really, thought about Drizzle. But once we started using Drizzle, I was like, fuck yeah. So anyone using Prisma, just like give Drizzle a thought.
It feels a lot lighter.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why, but it just feels like lighter to use. I don't know.
Interesting.
And Neon.
And Neon. Okay.
I didn't tell him to say that.
Okay. What's your favorite keyboard shortcut that you can't live without?
Command Z.
Command Z. Okay.
Yeah, we gotta go back.
What about you, Adam?
My favorite one. Fun fact: Cursor messed up my Command Z because when I prompt it, it goes back into the prompt, and I hate it. I want to
Yes,
reverse the code, not the
yes.
prompt.
When
So
you
yeah,
can
please fix
Command
that.
Z a bunch of times, it messes up and it does like chat history restorations.
Yeah,
That messed me up so much.
it's
Oh my
terrible.
gosh. Yeah, that
Um,
hit a core memory right there.
Yeah, my favorite though would be Command 0. the number 0, which opens the AI sidebar for in 0, which is a pretty cool shortcut.
Interesting. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Ryan's rolling his eyes.
Shelling his product. I know we're interviewing you, but
You
yeah,
still have an agenda.
I know. Yeah, I'd have to say Command 0. So if you didn't know what Command 0 was, Command 0 actually opens the AI sidebar on your 0 email inbox. No,
So you just did it again for us. Thank you.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So
if you can
actually,
do that, by the way, I would have that shortcut on my keyboard 100%, like as part of
I
my
think he
workflow.
does. Hold on, let me pull it up.
Yeah, you can do it.
Command 0.
Yeah?
Command 0.
Oh, wow. I
That's
did not
sick.
know that.
That's sick.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Make it Command 1 too, so I can do it with a single hand, just to dink.
Oh, okay.
So this actually brings me to another question. How do you plan to market new features like this? And this can be a quick one because I know we're running out of time, but a lot of issues that I've seen with companies is they have all these amazing features and they're shipping all this cool stuff. How do you plan to get that out there? Just like a persistent new features thing every time you load up the app, or these quarterly lovely emails from Nizzy himself being like, "Good morning, everyone." How do you plan to get that information out there?
We definitely need a blog. That it's not needed now, but blog is great at this. Like Resend does a great job at doing that with their announcements. Another thing will just be Twitter demos. It's a super underrated communication tool, and everyone on Twitter says Twitter's awful for marketing, but they're just talking, like they're not showing their work. And whenever you show your work, people are like amazed because no one does it. So talking about it and showing off your product is just a great way to talk about features. Another thing would be this is more specific, but notifying the users that are using your app. So Adam and I use the app every day, so we know exactly what's going on. But for a new user that's like loading up 0 for the first time, that has no context on like any of our Twitter accounts, they're like, "What is this?" So we added an onboarding to a flow to our app, and any new user just kind of gets an idea of what's happening through that onboarding flow. And as we add more features, we're probably going to replace a few of them on the screen and notify the users. So that's a great way, actually. That's probably one of the best ways. It's just like a dialogue or an onboarding flow.
Right.
Interesting. In one sentence each, one after the other, what would be the lasting change that you hope 0 makes on how world communicates?
That's a good one.
Yeah, I personally hope that 0 would be the cornerstone of how how companies woke up to fix their things. If you are a user that is relying on a company for 20 years, either there has to be a nudge for them to either fix their stuff or for you to move away. And we hope either we're going to be the nudge or the solution. We want to be the change. I personally believe that 0 has potential to be the difference in people's lives, and that is how we innovate and how quickly we listen to our users and implement. Yeah, I believe that is the answer here.
That was one very long sentence.
I know. Yeah, can we get a English lit teacher to double check that real quick?
A lot of commas.
Yeah, there's a. That's like when the teacher asks you write a 3-sentence response, and you write like 4 pages. You're like,
Yeah.
there's only 2 sentences.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So the impact I want 0 to have is on the open source side, which is a company that can make money and be sustainable while also being open source and free to use for developers.
See,
Awesome.
that's a sentence. That's a sentence. Adam. Take notes.
Yeah.
No, but that's awesome, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. What is the best way for people to be able to find, contribute, sign up for 0, follow both of you guys? What's the best way to find your work and sort of contribute to that all stuff?
Just go to 0.email, so the number 0.email, and everything's on there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And yeah, so awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming on. It's really been a pleasure. I know this was an amazing episode, and I think a lot of people are going to find it really valuable for like the actual stuff that they've learned from there.
Of course. Thank you for having us.
Of course, yeah.
Awesome.
Alrighty. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in today. If you see our new setup, we now have sponsors down there below. So if you're interested in sponsoring NextDev, please give us a shout on X or in email. But once again, thank you for joining us in this exclusive episode with the founders of Zero Email. It's truly been a joy for both Goose and I. And yeah, do you want to see more episodes like this where we kind of just jump on cool things that are happening? Let us know in the comments and let us know on other videos. And until then, I think we will see you later. All right.
Next time.
Yeah.